good to be alive in this land of ours. Good to drive in this land of ours.
Hello, Canada hockey fans in the United States.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's segment of Hockey Time Machine, where tonight we'll be discussing Special Hockey International and how it was formed and how we were moving along still since 1994. But before we start to Special Hockey International, I'd like to, first of all, might apologize because there might be some language used in the old days that might not be appropriate today, but it was used in those days. So I'd like to call upon Mr. Pat Flick, which started the Grand Ravine Tornadoes back in 1980. And we're having some difficulties with him, but he could come on and listen to us on the phone and like to speak to us by phone till he can get set up on video. So, Pat, how are you doing?
Very good, sir.
Thank you. So, Pat, tell us how you started the Grand Ravine Tornadoes program.
Well, at the time, I was director of hockey. I think it was for the Grand Ravine Club, and there were two boys used to show up all the time with their parents, and they play when because always they played like in the lobby with a roll of tape on their sticks, and so I just started a team up, thinking that there was these teams all around that they could play in. So I started a team up, and I had 9 players at the first year. And it was very tough to find 9 players because they didn't believe they could do this kind of a thing. And that's the way it started. It's just, and the one boy, his actual first boy that started, is like still with the club, and he's, well, because when he started, he was 5 years old. I don't know how old he is now. I guess now he's an old man. So because he's still there.
So, Pat, we do have a special guest on, and we were hoping that you could be on video with him. But I'd like to call upon also Ryan Inwood to come on our screen.
Hello.
There's Ryan and his mom. Actually, Ryan is one of the first 2 players that started in Grand Ravine, and that's what got the ball rolling. And as I'm still president of the Grand Ravine Hockey Organization, Ryan is still playing hockey for me. So, Ryan, what are you thinking about the program so far? You're how old now?
47.
48.
48. And he's still playing. He's still playing. Did you want to say hi to Pat?
Hey, Pat.
How you doing, Ryan?
How are you?
Very good.
Yep.
How are you, sir?
So, Pat, as you see, looks like you started a great thing. Ryan's still playing, and Grand Ravine has grown.
Oh, big time.
Right? So, what I would like to do right now is, that's how Grand Ravine started. We'd like to discuss on how Special Hockey International started. So I'd like to call Mr. Sansone, one of our guests from St. Louis, Missouri. And behind me, I have the first 2 jerseys that were used in that tournament, which was Gateway Locomotives and the Toronto Tornadoes. Mr. Sansone, how did you come about finding out about Grand Ravine?
Well, Joe, thanks very much for this. And Ryan, you look great. I'm sure you're still the prolific goal scorer that you were when we all began. So it's good to see you still playing the great game of hockey. Good for you, Ryan, and always great to hear from my good friend and old friend Pat Flick, who you said was the founder, and his wife Joan at the time was a foundress of a great organization. And it was some years ago. I think it was approximately 1993. My wife Peggy and I, who is no longer with us, we were traveling on our way to Quebec City via Montreal, and we were in the train station, and we were killing time and what have you. And there was a Reader's Digest book sitting next to the empty seat adjacent to Peg and I picked it up and I started paging through it, and it caught my attention. There was an article about Pat's team in Grand Ravine, and I totally was immersed in the article. I read it a couple to three times, and my wife, or Peggy, at the time said, "What are you so immersed in that Reader's Digest? What's so intriguing?" I said, "Well, you won't believe this, but a gentleman up here in Canada has started a program for the special needs athletes," and it was interesting because during that time period we had two sons, Michael and Tony, that had played hockey, and there was a young boy that would always watch his brother play. And obviously there was no enclosed rinks at the time, no roofs or anything. And it was out in the inclement weather in St. Louis. It gets rather cold. And we had one of those below zero days Saturday morning around 5:30 in the morning. And this little boy would be out there and he would never miss his brother. And whether it be practice or whether it be games, he was sitting there cheering on. And it was one of those situations where one day I went up to him and I said, "How come you're not out there playing?" And he goes, "Well, they don't let me play." And that really stuck. And then I was really taken aback, and it really hit me hard when I read the article about what Pat had done and the pioneer that he is. And I said, "Well, there it is. That's my message. That's my calling. We're going to do this." And she looked over to me and she said, "Don't talk about it. Act on it. Get on the phone over there and call him." I said, "Well, what the hell, Peg? I mean, he's not gonna, he doesn't know me from Andy." He goes, "Well," she goes, "you got to start now. We got time. Go ahead." So I did. I picked up the phone. I called him. And as those of us that know Pat, he doesn't have the greatest phone etiquette. And I think he answered the phone. Yeah. And that was the nicest thing he said to me during the conversation. At this time, he tested me and challenged me on my purpose and why I called him, what was the objective, and he grilled me as he should have grilled me, and it really made an impression on me because it was almost like an interview. Why are you doing this? What's the purpose? What compels you to do it? What is the end goal? What is the ultimate objective, etc.? All great, purposeful, necessary questions. And when I hung up the phone, I looked over at Peggy as she was staring at me, waiting for a reaction. And I said, "We have this. We're going to do this." And I go, "And we got the best guy to help form this." I go, "His heart's in the right spot." And she said, "Let's go. Let's start it now. We don't have to wait till we get back to St. Louis." And we began putting our group of coaches together and our thoughts of ice time and things of that sort, and had a game plan. And obviously Pat was the one who really provided the template of success, and I just followed his direction. And lo and behold, in 1994, we had our first practice. And I will tell you significantly, Joe, we had more coaches, volunteer coaches, than we did players. And that's when I knew this was long overdue. And then, lo and behold, we had some issues with, the issues we had, which were many, were all resolved by essentially one guy who really put forth the effort at the time. And it was a young, emerging a fan favorite who was frankly just in the league for a short time, and that was Kelly Chase. And he wanted to get involved, and he did get involved. Hands-on, he was able to secure the necessary ice that we needed. He was able to secure the insurance that we needed. And anytime we were fraught with any difficulties or challenges, he stepped up to the plate. And then from then on, we had other great St. Louis Blues players that stepped up, the Basil McRae's of the world. And I don't want to start naming the Cavallini brothers, et cetera. And it went on and on with just great, stalwart, supportive, professional athletes that with their leadership, they were able to pick up the phone and call their fellow players, friends that were on other teams in other cities, and we then started to emerge it through the that connectivity of player to player, and that's how I think we really, we just never looked back, and there was no challenge too big, and we started, Joe, in a very small way. I mean, I remember my wife making 60 sandwiches a day for picking the kids up in carpools and shuttles, because we could only get them during the lunch hour, and she would make sandwiches for everybody, and they would have an hour and a half of ice time, and then we get them all dressed and head back to school. And it was just a beautiful moment at a beautiful time in my life, where you really saw that this great wonderful sport was going to be exhibited through great, wonderful, special young athletes. And that was another thing. Pat refused to call these special children anything other than special athletes. That's what they were. They were athletes number one, and they were special number two. And just our whole code of conduct, and the disciplines that Pat instituted, and that I maintain that standard out of my respect to Pat, and that still holds true today. 1994, now we're in 2022, and I still see the old souls there. You have Mike Dwyer, you Joe Rizzuto. I mean, Pat. It's incredible. And it's not gonna stop. It's just gonna continue to perpetuate itself. It's gonna get bigger and better. Every year is a better year. We have some other thoughts and other ideas on how to make it even greater with an alliance of the NHL and things of that sort. So it's exciting times.
So Tony, right now we're looking at some of the pictures of some of the tournaments and stuff during the Thanksgiving weekend that we had in St. Louis, 94, 95, 96. We've put a montage together showing some of the players, and a lot of them are still here.
Yes.
Playing our game.
They sure are.
And it's great to see them on there. So Tony, tell me, what inspired the Thanksgiving tournament for 1994?
Well, it's just Pat and I really, Pat and I talking about it, and we, we're two, I guess, for lack of a better word, we're two guys that were determined, and we make up our mind and we do it. And the beauty behind it, Joe, is that frankly, we didn't really have, a board that we had to adhere to. It was a welcoming body of two guys that decided that really, frankly, thought the same way. Hearts were in the same direction. I took a backseat to Pat because I knew where his heart was, and he helped electrify the entire league through his spirit and through his emotional commitment. And I love the guy today as much as I loved him back in 1994. And it was one of those things where he said, "Let's do it." And I had the drive, means, and maybe resources to do it. And then again, Joe, with countless others supporting me, we were able to pull it off. And as I said to you earlier, we had 34 volunteer coaches that took the ice for the first time back in 1994, and we have 16 athletes. And we've never, ever had a shortage of volunteers or coaches. I mean, unsung heroes. the Jim Hermans of the world, the Joe Bannisters of the world. I start naming names, the Dymakeys of the people that are really step up and sacrifice, and they're very selfless. They're not looking for any notoriety. They don't want notoriety. They're just in fact, they're the polar opposite of that, just like Pat is. And I think what's the beauty in all of this, Joe, and why it's so, it's such a great organization is because you have people that are volunteering that don't want any accolades whatsoever. It's all about that special athlete, and that's the beauty.
Okay, thanks, Tony. I'll get back to you in a second. Pat?
Yes, sir.
What was the reaction on Grand Ravine when you told them that you were going to travel to St. Louis to play in a tournament?
They told me I was crazy. And there's some people told us that they couldn't get their kids on it, because onto an airplane. And I just told them, bring them to the airport, we'll get them on the plane. But I got to tell you, because we went down to St. Louis for the first time, because our parents and the players were treated so well, by Peggy Sansone, who, because they made sure that we had food to eat and everything, and because after the games, and because I guess she's dearly missed.
Yes. And I know also with your wife, Joan, also passed away. You and her and Tony and Peggy did a lot of work for Special Hockey International to start it and keep it growing. So
because most of the work was done by Tony, get his bunch down there because most of the teams started up in the U.S.
Yes. So 94 is passed. Now we're going to 1995, second tournament, Thanksgiving, that we're going to St. Louis again.
Yeah.
I joined just after you came back from the first tournament, and I remember seeing your program in one of our Toronto Star, and I have a son with Downs that was at that time 8 years old, and I wanted to get him into the league, and I called you up, and we joined. In 1995, we got a chance to go to St. Louis for the second annual tournament.
Third.
95.
Oh, yeah.
95,
yeah.
Right? And
yeah.
I know what it did for me. And I have to say, you and Tony inspired me and to who I am today and the way I think today. And I really want to thank you both for it. I think it's an awesome program that we got going, and we're still working at it, and all because of you two.
Joe, I think we should be thanking you.
No, that's not why I'm here. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to keep going on this, and Tony, bring back Tony.
Sure.
And Tony, once again, I'd also like to thank you for what you have done in this course, and up until today, you have both been instrumental on the help that we've needed to run the league and represent the league. And you guys have been awesome. What we'd also like to do is in 1995, some of our athletes, Pat, if I'm correct, broke away from us and started more teams.
Yep.
Right? And that's how we got to be really international.
Well, there were some broke away right after 94.
Right.
Because they came back, they said as long as we can travel to another, because we'll start our own club.
Exactly. So can you explain what it did to special hockey by these teams breaking off from us and starting?
Well, it just made it more something that because like more people recognized.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you got to take your hat off to Mike Dwyer, because if he came to my team and he knew nothing about hockey.
Right.
But he learned to skate, and he brought his son, and that's how, because after he got transferred down to New York, he started a team there, and it just kept growing from there.
Okay. We'll bring in Mike Dwyer. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Joe. Yeah, you're doing a good job there you should get a job in media after this, eh?
No. Well, Mike, I know you and I work on our SHI board and everything, and I'd like to ask you your experience with Grand Ravine and special hockey.
Okay. I only found out about the Grand Ravine program toward the end of my 4-year posting to Toronto. I was at the British consulate in Toronto, 95. So it was only in the last 18 months I found out about the Grand Ravine program and enrolled my son Ian in it. And then we went to the first tournament in St. Louis, which was a fantastic experience because Ian was only, I think, 8 years old then. And then the following year, the second tournament in St. Louis, I'd only just moved to New York, so it was too difficult for me to go. But we went to the third one in St. Louis. And meanwhile, I started up the New York Raptors Special Hockey Club, which was basically tried to model it on the same principles as the Grand Ravine program. And we came up with a logo. And I thought at the time, New York Rangers, New York Raptors, it kind of had a ring about it. So we went with that, except I made a big mistake. I didn't think that the Raptors logo that we had, it was a kind of skinny specimen of a dinosaur. I didn't like it. So I thought, we'll have a T-Rex head instead, because, that looks more like a dinosaur to me. And at first session we had, a little 5-year-old autistic boy says, "That's not a T-Rex. I mean, sorry, that's not a raptor. That's a T-Rex." So we had to kind of shred the first uniforms and get new ones with better logos on.
And you had to leave it to an athlete to let you know that you were wrong.
Exactly. Yes.
So, Mike, from New York, you started the team. We had some other teams starting, like the Connecticut Chasers, Tony, and I think Kelly Chase had a lot to do with the Connecticut team to start. Is that why they called it the Connecticut Chasers?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, Mike, now you're in New York.
Actually, Joe, you just reminded me there was one spin-off team from Raptors, which was there were two founding players, my son Ian and Sean Furlong. And Sean Furlong's parents decided to start a club in Albany. They founded the Albany Cougars.
Yes.
About a year after we started up. And they went on to host a tournament after that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, Mike, you went from New York. Here you go, Grand Ravine. You went to New York, and you wound up in your home.
Yeah, back to London. I had a 6-year assignment in New York. Well, originally it was 4, but I managed to squeeze a couple of year extension out of it, which was great. So I was there for 6 years. So we hosted a tournament, an SHI tournament in New York when I was there in 97, I think it was.
Yes.
A year after we started up. And then coming to the end of the posting there, I thought, well, I'll see what hockey there is back in London and to see whether I can start a special program in London. And I went on to do that in partnership with a local team, the Streatham Junior Ice Hockey Club. There were two of the ladies that ran that club really kindly helped me to get started with the Werewolves of London. Yeah, that was Janice Peachy and Judith Corral, the two ladies that ran the youth club. So, in fact, my son actually played with his older brother on the mainstream Streatham under-19 team for about 2 years. But the problem with that is that Ian didn't understand that you don't check people when they don't have the puck.
So you've gone to 3 places: Toronto, you played, you went to New York, then you went to London, and you started a team there. And in
Yeah.
2006, you hosted a tournament. Which,
Yeah, that was our first. Yeah, we did two in England. The
Yes.
first was 2006. It was great. The logistics of running an ice hockey tournament in the UK are really quite difficult, though. So it was a tough one to pull off, but we managed it. Yeah.
Yes, we were there, and we had some other teams there. And as our audience can see, these players have a chance to travel everywhere, wherever we can put up special needs hockey. We've gone to Colorado, we've gone to Albany, we've gone to St. Louis, we've gone to England. So there's a lot of places that we can go to, and hopefully we can start all this, right? So, Mike, sorry, back to Tony. Tony Sansone.
Yeah, Joe.
Yep.
I'm
Okay,
here, Joe.
So
Yeah.
we have a tournament in Kitchener in 2013, and what we did was we came up with our SHI American national, an SHI national anthem. Okay, so that was a song, Yes I Can. Now we're going to 2019, and we hosted the 25th SHI International Tournament. And that was 25 years. We had 59 teams, 1,500 people at our banquet. And it was just an incredible sight. And I'm glad that you and Pat came to that and got to see exactly how it grows. And it grew with you, both of you, for what you've started.
Well, you give us way too much credit, but I love how far it's come and the level and the advancement and the amount of athletes that we've been able to introduce to this great game, and it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
Yes, and we're still, as SHI, we're still working on growing this game throughout the world. Pat?
Yes, sir.
What happens to you when you see your old players?
Oh, it's just amazing because they all. It's just like going down to home week.
Mm-hmm.
Because they all come run over, give you a hug, and that is like it's the greatest feeling in the world.
And it's still, as it was started, non-contact, non-competitive. Everybody is a winner. And everyone enjoys the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, Joe, I'm going to say something. Maybe I'm not supposed to say it, but I can't understand how people want to get involved with this program and make it different. Because when you see the kids come off the ice laughing and having let's make it because a good time, to make it so it's competitive, it is totally wrong. Because those kids go on the ice to just have a really good time. And it just makes me mad to see some people that do it for the wrong reason.
Yes, and that's why we'd like to move forward with the way it is, and we keep in contact and trying that. We have our Mike Dwyer as our SHI president, still working and moving forward, and we're trying to create more teams throughout the world.
Doing a good job. Doing a great job.
I went to St. Louis because I made a little speech down there that it was so sad that because on the air flight going down to St. Louis, they flew over all kinds of cities, and there were no other teams around that because nobody else to play. And now that they're all over the world because you got your choice of where you can play.
Yes, and that's the beauty of this organization.
Yep.
Glenn Harvey. Okay, I'd like to also call up on Ryan Inwood.
Hello.
Hey Ryan, how are you enjoying this so far?
Good.
So how does it feel? How does it feel for you to be one of two players that started this beautiful thing worldwide?
Good.
It feels good, Joe.
There it goes. So,
Feels good.
It's hard to believe that Ryan is still playing from all those many years ago. But if you have a moment, could I tell a funny little story?
Yes.
I think the boys didn't go to '94 tournament, but they went, I think, to '95 or '96. And I think where the boys were playing, the St. Louis Blues practiced there. So St. Louis had, I don't know if there was multiple rinks or what, but anyway, Ryan and his teammates were being escorted to a lunch somewhere. So his brother Jason, who is his coach, his chaperone, and his uh, chaperone, he suddenly realized that Ryan wasn't with the group. So Jason backpedaled to find Ryan, and Ryan went past the weight room, and immediately, he knows his hockey, he spotted Brett Hall, Grant Fuhr, several other players, and he said, "We know those guys." So he just waltzed his way into the weight room and shook hands with them, started chatting with them. And once Jason backpedaled and found out where he was trying to get him out of there and say, "Ryan, you can't be in here." And the players just said, "Oh, yes, he can." He says he's welcome here. He said, "Leave him alone. We're having a great time here with him." So when Tony mentioned and Pat mentioned what a wonderful greeting and how well the boys were treated in St. Louis, absolutely. I mean, that is just a perfect example. Even NHL players took the time to talk with Ryan and make it a big, big deal for him to be there. So I just wanted to share that story because we told it to so many of our friends. Just last week, we told it to someone that we hadn't seen for a while, and it's really a wonderful story to remember. But Ryan's had several other tournaments too, but that one he just felt like he was one of the guys,
He still does that every Saturday morning when he comes to the rink. He wants to come and sit at the table with me
Oh,
before
yeah.
he goes on the ice.
Oh yeah, he thinks he's
Right,
pretty,
Ryan?
he thinks he's pretty important,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So he is.
And he is.
we know that.
Well, Ryan, don't let your head swell, but yes, you are.
too late for that.
Right. No, it's a great thing. Pat,
Yes, sir.
as you're still here, I know I was hoping that you'd get on video so we can see you. What do you think of today's game and how far we're going to keep going?
I don't think there's any end with Joe as long as they don't try to change the format. Because when they started making it that they have to get a different lead, they got to label the kids to different the different categories. The kids have been labeled all their life. They don't need to come to hockey to be labeled.
Right.
I think as long as you come to hockey to have fun, that's the most important part is come for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And because as long as they leave the rink when they're smiling, that's the most important thing.
Yes. And Tony, what do you see in St. Louis? I think we might have lost him a little bit.
Hello?
Yeah, Tony, what do you see the growth in St. Louis and the teams that come in?
I echo Pat's statement, but I also will add that in St. Louis, we've been adopted by the St. Louis Blues organization. And they have, they've taken it to a different level for our athletes. I mean, they treat them like they are the Grant Fuhr and the Brett Hulls of the world. Their first-class nature. They assist in subsidizing the organization. We have players that subsidize the organization. We're never at a loss for new equipment. We're never at a loss for that's another thing that Pat Flick instilled, and I really appreciate that. He said, you wouldn't give your child used equipment, so our players are not going to be wearing used equipment. So it's all they're treated as they should be treated, first class manner. Our organization in St. Louis is exactly that. We demand that the players are treated just like any other player are treated. We expect them to also be mindful that they are just like any other player. They pick up their sweater from the floor. They clean their equipment. They tie their skates, put their skates on and off, things of that sort. So it's a wonderful discipline, while at the same time we continue to flourish with the number of athletes that we have, and we continue to perpetuate the program. And again, a great deal of thanks go to the St. Louis Blues organization, Chris Zimmerman, et cetera, all the way up to ownership. So it's a great thing, and we continue to flourish.
And I think what we'd like to see as SHI and everything, every NHL team supporting all the teams in the NHL cities, which we don't have. So,
no, we don't, and we're going to work on that through another person who really lifts a heavy hand to assist us is Randy Gersh of the St. Louis Blues, and through his network of other administrators throughout the league. That's what we have to work on in a much more fastidious fashion, Joe, and that's a job for some of us to make sure that we do get more participation from NHL team, and we're working on that now.
Yeah, and as we look at these pictures and videos of these players that come on, you will see that they're all different sizes, all different abilities, and they're all together as one unit, and everybody smiles at the end. Look at the fans that we have in the stands, just happy. And then our annual SHI tournament now is bigger and better all the time. It seems to grow. And that's what we'd like to see some, hopefully not England again right now, but some other hockey teams, organizations in USA and Canada, and hopefully we can get some more international tournaments across and not being repeated.
Right.
But it doesn't really matter, because as we see, they've all got smiles, they all play the game, and they're all having fun. And that's what it's all about.
You got that right.
Yep. Mike Dwyer.
Hello, Joe.
Hello. So, Mike, Glenn, do we still have some video from the UK tournaments?
Do we have some, you say?
Yes, we have some.
We do.
Hopefully Glenn's got a couple of stills still. If not, we'll keep going. I know that the enjoyment that these athletes get is something that they might never do in a lifetime, is travel and visit different cities in different countries. I know when we came to your tournament in 2006, 2009, 2012, we stayed at a resort called Bognor Regis, and it was awesome there. And all these players were they had their own rooms and everything, but there was like almost a playground with different activities all the time. Would you be ever thinking about doing that again there, Mike?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's anything's possible. The place you're talking about, the resort there, Bognor Regis, on the south coast of England, is actually it's kind of unique to the UK. It's like a holiday camp. They used to be quite Spartan in the old days, but now they've replaced some of those old blocks with proper like hotel, like a traditional hotel buildings, as opposed to chalet type accommodation. So the facilities are improved there year on year. The only problem, of course, is busing people from there to the nearest ice rinks and the logistics of that. But yeah, we could do it again. The beauty of that resort place, though, was because you could accommodate thousands of people. A couple of thousand people is no problem. So.
And from what I see, looking at back at these pictures, every one of those players has a smile. It didn't matter if they won or lost on the ice; they all have a smile. And it's nice to see. So, can we get them all on, Glenn, please? There we go, Ryan. And Pat, you're still on.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, I have to say, as a Grand Ravine director, president, and what I've gone through in the last 20 some odd years with my son joining, I know what you've all done for me to make me who I am, but I'd look at you and I'd look at our spectators, and hopefully they feel the same of what we have created worldwide. And there's some of the athletes that were hurt that came on the ice.
Orangeville.
Orangeville. We've got 22 teams in Canada. In Ontario, one in Nova Scotia. We've got a team in Chicago. We've got teams in Norway, Sweden, Finland, the UK. We're communicating with a Moscow team right now. We'd like to really go worldwide and be supported by the NHL, which would be awesome. What do you feel about all the parents and the athletes, and Tony?
Well, I think they are as special as their offspring is. I mean, the dedication, the commitment. You know, I'm happy to report that just recently, 4 months ago, my niece delivered a special baby girl, Noelle. And I can tell you of a family that is now over 100 strong. As most of you know, I have come up from a very large Sicilian family, six boys, 2 girls, and we've been blessed with there's over 100 within our family. And this little special baby has illuminated the heart of our entire family. And she lights up a room. She glorifies the being, the soul, and it's an absolute blessing. And the recipients are those of us that can touch, feel, and be part of that incredible soul, that incredible heart. So I have my juices flowing, Joe, when I hear you talk about worldwide. And that's exactly the scale. There should be no limitation. We don't know in Special Hockey International the word no. There's always a way to, if there's a will, there's a way, and we're going to find it, and we're going to make it happen, and we're going to do the impossible. And it continues. And the spirit of Pat and Joan Flick will live on forever. It's immortal, and nothing's going to stop us.
And I have to say something that Pat Flick and Tony Sansone never had a special needs athlete in their family, and this is what they created. I have a reason to be in because I have a son, but it just goes to show how special you two are, and some of our volunteers that don't have anything to do with special needs in their family. And that's where the heart is. Back in '94, Special Hockey International was the Heart League. And I'm hoping that we will be bringing that back as SHI, the Heart League.
I would love that.
Yes.
Yes, so would I.
Right. Okay.
And I also think because you're giving credit to Joan, but I think you'll give a lot of credit to Peggy.
I know I do. I just can't. I can't say it.
Because first couple of tournaments down in, well, we went to St. Louis because she kept everybody fed and everybody entertained. The women were all, because they're all entertained. They had it because they started cheerleading because up in the stands, and it was just beautiful.
Yeah, no, she was one of a kind, very unique and very special, incredible person. Thank you, Pat.
And I have to say, you two made me a part of a very large family, and that's what this is.
Okay.
Okay, Ryan, you're part of my family. So we're back in 2013 now. We'll go back a little bit. We had someone write a song regarding in special hockey, and it's called "Yes I Can." And hopefully, Glenn, can we play that in entirety?
You may not think that I can do this, but I can, and I'm gonna prove it. Win or lose, I'll see this through to the end. I got my family around to help me, and all my friends are ready and we agree. Together we can all make a difference. Yes, I can be the best that I can be. Yes, I can be the one to help others see. Yes, I can change the world with hope and help them understand. Yes, I can. I know nothing in life comes easy, but I'm willing to get my hands dirty. Keep my head held high and my heart open wide. Yes, I can be the best that I can be. Yes, I can be the one that help others see. Yes, I can change the world with hope and help them understand. Yes, I can.
That is an awesome song written that fits right into special hockey.
Beautiful song.
Joe,
Yes.
because one thing I like to say, because maybe I started hockey like in because back in the early '80s. But because if it wasn't for guys like Tony and for Mike Dwyer, I'd probably be still there because played by myself. So I think hats because I go after those two.
Hats off to all of you. And now all of us, because we're still continuing the dream.
Attaboy. Right.
Okay. Hats off to all of us. Anything else?
I'd like to thank Pat for teaching me how to tape a stick. At Grand Ravine, he saw me taping a stick from toe to heel, drew a crowd, started laughing and pointing at me, and said, "This limey has no clue how to tape a stick."
He was nice to you. That's great. That's great.
Well, I know we usually keep the show going on an hour. We're not running out of things. It's just that we'd like to have, more things to say and keep going. But it seems like we're all talking with our heart, and that's what SHI is. And if we end early, what I would like to do is invite you all to our Zoom after party. And what we do there is we have a panel of all our guests that have been watching. And if they have questions to ask you, love for you guys to join us and be on there with us. We could get the link out to you guys to join us on Zoom if you would like.
Sure.
Yes?
Because I got one thing to say, because after Mike Dwyer got transferred down to down to the States.
Yes.
Because he wanted to come up to the but when we took the kids up to Parry Sound, and he brought his son up the first time, and because he asked me about the following year, I said the only reason because the only way you can go up next year is if you bring your own team. Yeah, by geez, he did.
Yes, he did.
I remember that. He said, "I guess this will be the last time we'll see you," or something like that. I said, "Yeah, right. I'll be back."
Yeah. I think as our spectators can see, this became one happy family from the very beginning, and it's nice to see and talk about it and enjoy it, and still keep smiling about it. We've had our hardships going through all this, but it's still enjoyable and rewarding. It's nothing money can buy.
No.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, you got that right, Joe.
Okay. Well, I'd like to end the show then and thank everyone for being on here and expressing your heartfelt issues and feelings. I think it's just awesome to be part of you, and hopefully everybody that watches this video, if anyone is interested in starting a team anywhere, please contact us on the Special Hockey International website. Drop us Mike a line or myself, and we'll get in contact with you and let you know how to start a team and have this game keep growing. Okay, well, thank you again, everyone, and hope to see you soon. And good luck. Have a great
Thank you,
summer.
Bill. Thank you, Ryan. Thanks, Mike. Pat,
Thanks, everyone.
love you, buddy.
Take care.